before I okay, before I introduce Madam Nilima Mishra, I must welcome Madam Barala from Bangladesh. She is a great activist, young activist. Do you hear me? Diksha Barala, Madam Diksha Barala.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello,
Actually,
you can introduce yourself. Open your video.
actually, right now I think I cannot open my video. I think I can, but I can introduce myself.
Okay, before I introduce others, please introduce yourself. Okay.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Firstly, hello everyone. I'm Diksha Baral from Nepal. I'm a climate campaigner from Nepal, and I have been raising awareness and advocating for a better planet along with my team at Nepalese Youth for Climate Action. Nepalese Youth for Climate Action is a youth network, and we basically run campaigns and to raise awareness and advocate for climate justice. So I'm very glad to be present here today, and I think in coming days we will get to know each other more. Thank you so much, sir, for having me.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will because we have postponed our global summit to last week of January. As our dates clashed with the COP dates of class 28, many delegates may not come. That's why we'll change the program. We'll change reschedule program. I'll send you later on. Okay. Before I must introduce Madam Nilima Mishra. She is founder of Seva Green Solution, a waste management startup based at Bhubaneswar. She is very popular, internationally reputed climate activist. She was graduated with MPhil in environmental policy from University of Cambridge, UK in 2022 on scholarship funded by British Foreign and Commonwealth Office. She has previously completed her post-graduation in forest management from Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal. She also worked in various capacities and positions as a consultant to state government of Orissa. Now she is working as consultant to our Chief Minister office. She has a lot of she in her profile is very long. Okay, she has lot of achievements. In June 2019, she was only ODA to be part of Climate Force Arctic expedition. So today she will share her journey to Arctic. So now I must introduce you all our KT Global School. But in this conference, apart from KT Global School, other schools will be joining. The two schools from Assam and five schools from Japan, Saudi Arabia schools and Uganda schools. And here also we are planning to involve Kalinga, Delhi Public School and other schools. They will be joining together in our program. And we expect 2,500 school students to be participant in this global summit. So now I'll introduce my school. It is a pioneering residence school of Orissa. It is reputed all over India. And in this school, all highly qualified teachers, IITians, experienced teachers from Orissa and other parts of Orissa, they are working. So they will share their experience. They are very active in participating. So far, we have organized 50 webinars and they are actively participating in this. Now they are excited to listen Madam Nilima Mishra's journey to uh, Arctic expedition. Okay, I welcome Madam Nilima Mishra.
Thank you so much, sir, for that kind introduction, and I welcome you all to the session. Thank you for taking out time to be here to listen to the expedition. This is going to be a very interactive interactive session, because I'll be asking you a few quiz questions. I had anticipated more number of students to participate, but anyhow, now the quiz is on the teachers and all the participants who are there. So let me just share my screen. Yeah. I hope it's visible to all.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, great. Okay. Since we have some time in hand, let's go over the expedition experiences, and I'll talk about how climate change is impacting the northern pole of our Earth, and how it is impacting us in our daily lives and what we can do about it. So to begin with, now, okay, this is, I think, might be disturbing you. Yeah. So to begin with, this he was the team leader of our expedition. His name is Sir Robert Swan, and he is the first person in history to walk to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Now, in 1985, when he first walked to the South Pole, what happened was that he accidentally walked under the hole in the ozone layer. And when he came back from the expedition, NASA told him that you have walked under this hole in the ozone layer, and that is why the color of his eyes have changed from brown to blue, because of the ultraviolet radiations. And his skin had also become completely destroyed because of those ultraviolet radiations that had come from the ozone hole. That was the first time when he actually experienced the impact of global warming. Now, 4 years later, when he went and undertook the expedition to the North Pole, what happened was that 4 months before, the sea ice had already started melting, which was not as part of his planning. And that was the second instance when he actually faced the impact of global warming. So when he came back and he realized that the youth must know about the changes at the polar regions, and he founded this organization called the 2041 Foundation. Now, 2041 is the year when basically the Antarctica Treaty would be renegotiated. Now, what does the Antarctica Treaty say? The Antarctica Treaty says that the continent of Antarctica will be used for science, peace, and other purposes of mankind. But in 2041, when this treaty will be renegotiated, it might open up for exploration, it might open up for mining, it might open up for other things which might just destroy this beautiful habitat of ours. And hence the term 2041, and he raises awareness about the polar regions and takes youth to these polar regions so that they understand that when the year 2041 comes, they would be able to preserve and fight for that no man's land. So this is the background of the expedition. So coming back to our quiz question, maybe. So can anyone say what is the difference between Antarctica and Arctic? Of course, being in the north and being in the south is not the difference that I had anticipated, is not what I expect. Anything else? Please feel free to interact. I mean, there are no wrong answers, please.
Actually,
Anyone?
Antarctica is a real continent.
Yeah.
Arctic is something that is based on the pole, it becomes frigid. That's it, I feel.
Yeah. It's there. The answers are there on the photographs itself. So Antarctica is a continent. It is a land mass which is surrounded by water. Arctic is an ocean, which is a water body which is surrounded by land. Right? So that is the first major difference of the Antarctic and the Arctic. And the second difference is penguins are found in the Antarctica, polar bears are found in the Arctic. I mean, that's the second most difference apart from the other geographical differences. So while going for this expedition actually required a lot of fundraising. because I had to raise around 14 lakhs for this expedition. And that was raised through crowdfunding, through sponsorships, and through various and through selling of various plastic-free, single-use plastic-free products. It also got a tweet from the Chief Minister of Odisha then during that time. And hence I was finally, after a period of 8 months, I managed to raise this cost, and I managed to reach the Arctic. This is where our base camp was. I mean, we started at Norway, Oslo, and we had orientation sessions, gear checks, fitness eligibility, safety sessions, of course, before we could head over to the mainland. Now, this is the place that we actually landed. It's called as Svalbard. Now, Svalbard is an archipelago. It's closer to the North Pole than it's closer to Norway. And the signboard that you see here, Gelderhellis Svalbard, it means all over Svalbard. That means polar bears are all over Svalbard. In fact, this is a place where there are more polar bears than humans also. And the other beautiful thing, or the other surprising thing about this place, is that you cannot be buried here, and you cannot be birthed here. I mean, you cannot have a birth in this place. You cannot be buried here because of the high temperatures, because of the freezing temperatures and permafrost. The body will actually not decompose. So there is a small cemetery where there are like 7 miners who have been buried there, but there is a strong indication that they had died because of the Spanish flu. And their bodies are not fully decomposed, and their bodies are actually coming up from the snow. So later on, if there is any other virus, or if there is a resurgence of the Spanish flu virus, it can be from those 7 dead bodies. And you're not allowed to take birth here is because there is no hospital. So before 2 to 3 weeks before your due date, you are taken to the mainland. So these are the interesting facts about Svalbard. Now, we were a group of 80 people, and we went along with the National Geographic crew. There were people from all walks of life. There were investment bankers, there were people from oil and shell companies, there were filmmakers, there were climate advocates, and there were people who were not even related to the climate at all and wanted to understand more about this. There were government officials also as well as part of this crew. Now, when you think about the Arctic, you think that it will be all snow, it will be all white, it will be all icy. But actually, less than 10% of the, there's only 10% of this vegetation which is there in this kind of region. And any guesses what kind of ecosystem is this called? Where there are no like trees. Anyone?
Moss.
No, the ecosystem. The ecosystem is called as tundra, right? Tundra.
Tundra, right?
Yeah, tundra. So that is the kind of ecosystem that is there, because there are no trees, and they don't grow because of the freezing temperatures, and there is all grass, or it's all mossy. Yeah. So this was the site that we had seen when we reached high up, and we used to travel either by foot, or we used to take these small boats to go from one place to the other to carry out certain experiments, to carry out certain observation visits, to carry out hikes, and other places that we used to see. Now, I had collaborated with the scientists at the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research. It comes under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India. And we also have published a paper in the Polar Science Research Journal. Now, any guesses where this institute is located? The National Center for Polar and Ocean Research. Which state? Okay, more guesses?
Chennai.
National Center. Chennai, no. Okay, next. Any other? Any lady teachers want to take a guess? Okay, so it's based in Goa. The National Center for Polar and Ocean Research is based in Goa, and we had collaborated with the scientists there to take certain water samples for studying the phytoplankton. Now, interestingly, India has got a base station in the Arctic. It's called as Himadri, or the abode of snow. There are various scientists there also who are doing various kinds of researches, and they are working on various aspects like meteorology, glaciology, microbiology, and other things. Our research was mostly on microbiology and understanding the water samples. Now, India's interest in the Arctic is actually environmental in nature, it's very commercial in nature, and it's very strategic in nature also, because it is said that 22% of hydrocarbons are there beneath the Arctic, and hence India wants to have a strategic interest in the Arctic region for the future as well. In fact, ONGC has a body called ONGC Videsh, and they are trying to explore hydrocarbons with Russia in the Arctic region. And the Antarctica also has a base station, and that base station of India is called as Med3. So this was what I had done there. Now, any guesses what this is, what this phenomena is? If I say I went to Norway, what would it be?
The sunlight is very low because the sun rays are slanting, and it is known as a what they call the sunlight continues for days, and
Yes, true. Absolutely right. It's called as the land of the midnight sun, right? So this is the photograph at night 2 a.m. when the sun is continuously there in the sky, and then you don't have actually any kind of semblance of time and sleep also as well because of this phenomena. So this is known as the midnight sun. This is another very interesting phenomena that I noticed for the first time ever, and maybe the last time ever also. This is called as a fog bow. Usually a rainbow consists of 7 colors. This is only one color rainbow. It is called as the white rainbow or a fog bow. The other colors are there, but they are very light in nature and hence not visible. But this is a fog bow. And this was visible to us in one of the, almost close to the North Pole. Now, what you see here is a glacier or an iceberg.
snow caps.
Options are 2, glacier, or what do you see? Glacier, or is it an iceberg?
Glacier.
Glacier. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So glacier and iceberg, the difference is that glacier is stuck to land and iceberg is mobile in nature. So the icebergs float around the water. They break off from the glacier and they float around the water. Glaciers are stuck to the land. They are immobile. Now, if you see, I'll show you a series of 3 photographs. So this is from slightly far away. This is slightly near. And then this is when actually a part of the glacier was falling down into the water. So when they see, that the sea ice is melting, and the river levels are rising, this is what exactly is happening in the polar regions. Now, why are the polar regions important for climate change? Any answers? So the polar regions are important for, yeah, I can hear someone taking a mic.
There is a temperature difference due to which wind flow continues.
Yeah. So because they are white in color and because they are light in color, they reflect back most of the solar energy back into the atmosphere. So they do not trap as much heat as possible. So that is why the polar regions are very important. But now, because of the greenhouse gases, the polar ice is melting and the greenhouse gases are getting trapped all the more, hence increasing the heat. That is why the polar regions are very important in maintaining the temperature of the earth. Now this is a glacier that this is an iceberg that we had seen while we were kayaking and taking some water samples. Now you see these black lines that you see in these icebergs, the dark lines that you see in the icebergs, they are because they have broken off from the glacier and they carry with it a lot of soil and sediments and other structures. That is why you see these dark lines in these icebergs. Now I'll show you a video. You're supposed to observe it properly and understand as to what is happening. There's no audio in this, just pay attention. You will see a iceberg somersaulting. I hope all of you could observe that phenomena.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry.
Can you tell us why it is tilting?
No, it was just there in the waters, and we were actually going to take some water samples when suddenly it took a twist and turn. And maybe it was disbalanced or something like that. It just took a twist and turn, but we were actually scared because the water levels rose suddenly, and we had to actually we had to kayak faster so that we could reach a safe place. So that exactly is what is the phenomena when when this will melt and the sea waters will rise, and that will impact the global environment. Now this is the various kinds of icebergs that we saw there, and the one that you see on your left hand side is actually the tip of the iceberg. If you see properly below, the 3/4 of it is below and 1/4 is above. Now, now Titanic hit an iceberg or did it hit a glacier?
Iceberg.
It crashed.
Crashed into an iceberg.
Iceberg.
Yeah, one of these icebergs maybe. And icebergs have various names to it. Like the one on the left that you see, it's also called as a golf ball, or it's called as a pomegranate because of the dimpled structure to it. And these are the various colors of the icebergs that you can also see: blue, green, and white. Now here is something, it's a quick question again. So there is grass. Now we identified there is grass here, and this is this beautiful flower called purple saxifrage. Now can anyone guess where does this grass or the flower that you see derive its nutrition from? It needs certain nutrition, right, to grow. The answer is in the photograph itself. Anyone?
Dead matter.
Can anyone repeat?
From dead matters.
From dead?
Dead matters. Anything?
Dead matters, yeah. Okay. The answer is the feather that you see. So basically, there are a lot of birds there. Bird droppings or bird poo actually provides the fertilizer to these plants. Okay, so it's a complete circle of life, as you can understand. This is a composite organism called as lichens. Now, lichens are a mixture of uh, algae and fungi. Yeah, and usually they are found in these cold places, and they can survive through the winters because of their structure, that they are a composite of fungi and an algae. Now, these reindeers that you see, the Arctic reindeers, they survive on the lichens. And during winters, the lichens are their only food, or maybe they can reach out to the grass. Now, I'm going to, in the later slides, I'm going to tell you how these reindeers are getting impacted by climate change, and how we had seen around 200 reindeer skulls because they had died when we were there. These are
Walrus.
Sea lions.
what?
Walrus.
Walrus.
Sea
Yes.
lions. Sea
No,
lions.
no, these are walrus. Walrus. These are walruses. Yeah, they had a big huge colony of walruses there, and I wanted to show that the picture in that the walrus in front is like my soul animal. You know, whenever I get certain time, this is how we all want to relax, maybe. But leaving jokes apart, walruses were actually an endangered species quite a few years back, you know, and they were killed for their tusks, they were killed for their hides, they were killed for their blubber. But finally, after years of protection, they have their numbers have revived, and they are finally safe in their in the Arctic region, and they have come back to the wild because of the efforts of the Norwegian government. Now, these are various types of whales that we saw there. The one on the top left that you see are called as beluga whales. They are also called as sea canaries. Canaries means they make a lot of noise, chin 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 chin. They make under the water. Then there is hump back whale. Then there is fin whale, bowhead whale, and the other kinds of whales. Now, interestingly, of course, I mean, whales are under threat because of killing and because of their oil and fat. But whales have a very important role in climate change. Any guesses? How do they contribute to climate change? Interestingly, I'll tell you. So interestingly, so whale poo, again, like whatever whales eat and their excrement, is actually a fertilizer for phytoplankton. And phytoplankton helps capture a lot of carbon dioxide, almost 4 times that of the Amazon rainforest. So that is why they play a very important role. First, when whales are alive. Secondly, when whales are dead and their carcass goes down to the ocean floor, their bodies store humongous amounts of carbon, and that is not released into the air, rather it goes into the deep ocean floor. That is why whales play a very important role in climate change actions. Now, maybe a short video on the whales that we had seen. These are the beluga whales. They were hunting. You can only see their tops. Yeah, and of course, these are the symbol of global warming. Polar bears. This is a mother polar bear and her 2 cubs. Now, how are these creatures actually getting affected by climate change? Is because polar bears actually hunt for seals, right? So polar bears are very patient creatures. They will wait near these holes where the seals are supposed to come out. They will wait endlessly for 2 days, 3 days when the seal is supposed to come out, and then they will attack. But what is happening is that because of the melting of the sea ice, they do not have this hunting place. Like that sea ice is no longer available for them to wait on, you know. So food is becoming shortage for them. They are not being able to catch as much seals as possible. And that is resulting in the next generation of polar bears becoming actually nutritionally weak in nature. Even because of the melting of snow ice, their dens are also collapsing, and that is causing a lot of changes to their food habitats. Because of the lack of sea ice, they are now venturing into the areas of human, thus causing a lot of human wildlife conflict. And interestingly, where we went to Svalbard, like you are not allowed to just go on your own. You will always have a polar hunter along with you, someone with a gun. And you cannot just shoot at a polar bear just like that. There has to be reasonable explanation as to why did you shoot a polar bear, because you then need to provide a reason to the governor and explain the reasons and the circumstances as to why did you shoot the polar bear. So this is one of the reasons as to how the polar bears are getting impacted by climate change. Now, how evident was this changing Arctic in terms of temperature? On one of the days, the temperature was 10 degrees centigrade. 2 degrees centigrade and 3 degrees centigrade is the weather that we face even in Delhi. On one of the days, it was 10 degrees centigrade. It had never happened like this. The scientists and the researchers who had gone along with us, they say that this was happened in 30 years. They had never seen something like this. The air was chill, but the temperature was around 10 degrees centigrade. And the Arctic is melting at twice the global average. The temperatures have risen by an average of around 4 degrees centigrade every year since 1971. Now, remember the reindeers that I talked about, we saw a lot of skulls there. And the reason behind is that now, because of an increase in precipitation, so because of an increase in rainfall, what happens is that the reindeers actually eat grass. Okay. So when there is snow, they can dig, right? With their hooves, they can dig and reach the grass. But what happens is when there is an increase in precipitation or when there is an increase in rainfall, that snow is no longer any snow. It is now becoming ice. I hope you understand the difference between ice and snow, that powdery substance and that block of solid. And they are unable to dig through that ice to reach the grass. Thus, again, they are dying due to starvation. This is again because of an impact of changes in weather pattern causing a reduced food for these kind of animals. Any guesses which structure this is?
The feed vault. Oh,
Yeah, great. This is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. So when we went there, this structure was under repair and maintenance. Now, what is this structure exactly? This structure is also called as the Doomsday Vault. So the seed vault contains seeds from countries all over the world. It contains a duplicate of seed samples from various gene banks across the world. It can have samples from India, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Philippines, and all the other places. So in case of any kind of natural disaster, in case of any kind of apocalypse, this seed bank would serve as an insurance to the global food policy. Okay, so suppose mankind ceased to exist and new humans come back to the earth and they want to take certain seed samples, and this is the place where they can actually get the seed samples and start life again. But seeds have already been withdrawn by various countries, like say Syria had recently withdrawn because of the war. They required certain maize samples. A lot of samples from Philippines, which were also destroyed due to flooding, have also been stored here. So this was the perfect place to have the seed vault because of the freezing temperatures, because there is no seismic activity here, because it is above sea level also, so there is no risk of that. But when we went there, this was under repair and maintenance because water had actually entered into the seed vault. Water, because the permafrost and the ice had melted and it had entered into the first door. It had entered and then it became like this huge block of snow. So that is why it was undergoing repair and maintenance. Now, a structure which was supposed to withstand all these vagaries of nature is now undergoing repair and maintenance because of sea ice melting. We also saw a whole lot of plastic there at the high reaches of the planet. There were fishing bottles, fishing nets, there were bottles, there were cigarette lighters, bottle caps, and various endless things that which we salvaged and managed to bring onto the mainland. This was very surprising because I never anticipated plastic to be there at such volumes there at the high reaches of the planet. Now, coming back to, this was all about the Arctic experience. I went around, I went very far to see all these experiences and to experience it myself. But what can you as individuals do for this? You know, we think that this is a solution that is beyond our reach. So, what can you do? When I came back from the Arctic, and especially the sites of plastic which disturbed me, when I came back to Odisha, all around me I could see just trash. So waste that was being burnt. There were children who were going through the trash and salvaging certain stuff. The cows and the animals were eating from this kind of trash. Then a smart city was declared, but the landscape of the city had changed because of such trash. So that's when I came back and I started my own organization, which works on waste management solutions, which works on dry waste, wet waste, and single-use plastics. Now, my approach to fighting climate change was one at a time. You know, waste management was one of the areas that I could conquer, and by segregating your waste and by composting your waste, you could actually make a big impact because these are not being sent to the landfill, and thus the methane emissions are less. When everything gets mixed at the landfill, there is a lot of greenhouse gas emissions which are being produced from the landfills, and that gets reduced if you just segregate your waste. Now, talking of plastics, can anyone tell a connection between plastics, billiard balls, and elephants? Any random guesses? There has to be no right answer, please. Billiard balls, elephants, and plastics. Anyone? Any guesses? Okay, since there are not many people who want to answer this, let me just go ahead with the answer. So the answer is that this is actually the story of plastic. So listen to this very attentively. So billiard balls were actually made of ivory earlier. Now, when ivory started getting reduced in number, when elephants became scarce in nature, the billiard balls company came out with an competition that we want an alternative to ivory because the elephants are getting scarce, etc. And but we want billiard balls, we want to play billiards also. So someone has to come out with an alternative to ivory. Now, there was this one person called James Hyatt who discovered synthetic polymer, basically. The first known synthetic polymer, which is cellulite. That was the first alternative to plastic. And that's when the plastics era actually began. The next alternative that was discovered many years back was Bakelite. So cellulite never became to be used in billiard balls because it would just catch fire. But Bakelite began as the alternative to ivory. Now the irony of the fact is that we discovered something artificial to preserve the natural resources. But now this invention of ours is actually hurting the natural resources. Plastics are being burned, plastics are eaten by animals, plastics choke fishes, marine animals, etc. And that is the irony of the entire situation. I am not saying plastics are bad, but single-use plastics are bad in nature. They are the ones which cause the most of the trouble because they cannot be recycled, because they cannot be reprocessed, and a lot of other things. So that is the story behind plastic. Of course, I told you segregation of waste is the most important thing. Plastics, organic waste, paper, organic waste must be composted because by composting and by not sending your waste to the landfills, you can actually save a lot of carbon emissions. Plastic similarly must be recycled and paper similarly must be recycled. As I come to the end of our presentation, this is a very famous quote that is told by our team leader, and it's called, "The greatest threat to the planet is the belief that somebody else will save it." And I hope that this session was interesting to understand. But before we close, I have a few things to show you about single-use plastics. We'll wrap up in just 5 to 10 minutes about how we can reduce single-use plastics in our lives. When we talk about when we celebrate, this is how we celebrate mostly: balloons, wrapping paper, plastics cannot be recycled. Avoid these. Wrap it up in a simple newspaper or maybe in a cloth, and avoid balloons as much as possible, because once they are burst, they are just a single time use. Once they are burst, they end up somewhere on the land or somewhere in the waters, thus causing a lot of problems to birds and animals alike.
Ma'am, are you showing something? Because the screen is still your presentation.
Okay, yeah, I'm showing something. You just let me stop this. Yeah, is it fine? Yeah. So that's what I said. I mean, balloons, single-use plastics must be avoided at all costs because these end up in the atmosphere, causing a lot of danger to marine animals as well as land animals. Most of them get confused between them as food and eat them, and thus destroying their intestinal tracts and their this thing. The second thing that I wanted to show you is the difference between aluminium and plastic. Now, when we pack food from outside, we usually get food in these kind of polythene, in these kind of package, right? So we mostly think of this as aluminium foil, but this is just plastic. This is called as polyolefin. That means oil-like. Oil does not stick to this. How will you know the difference between plastics and aluminium foil? Plastics, when you crush them and leave it back, it goes back to its original shape. Aluminium, when you crush it, it remains in the same shape as it. Recyclable, not recyclable. Carry your own dabbas, carry your own tiffin boxes as much as possible. Whenever you order food from outside, just avoid the plastic cutlery. In Zomato and Swiggy, you both have options in them. The other thing is, now these bags, many of them, we go to the market and they tell us that these are cloth bags or these are paper bags, etc. Yeah, these are not. These are just polypropylene bags. And how do you recognize these polypropylene bags? Just see these stitches at the edges. You see these dashed stitches,
Yeah.
parallel dash bars. That's how you can recognize that this is plastic. This is just heat pressed plastic, non-woven polypropylene. Heat is applied and they are just melted and pressed together. When you burn a portion of this, when you burn a part of this, you will see that it will melt rather than burning. There will be no flames, but it will melt, and you will get the distinct smell of plastic also. When you burn paper, there will be flames to it. That is how you understand the difference between polypropylene and. So avoid these bags. They are reusable in nature, but they are not recyclable in nature. Just carry your own bags. Even though you have tons of these bags at home, you will always pick one from the vendor itself. So carry your own bags as much as possible and avoid these bags. Also these are theli packets, as that you know. Avoid these as much as possible because they are single-use plastic bags. The other thing that I wanted to show you is sachets. Sachets are a huge problematic area because they are again single-use plastics, and when you use them and throw them in the dustbin, they end up in the drains and gutters, and thus clogging all the drains. So next time, maybe whenever you go to a McD or maybe whenever you go to a Pizza Hut and you get a sachet of sauce, just return it back to them. Take it from a bulk dispenser. In case if you want to have ketchup or something, take it from the bulk dispenser. Do not take these sachets because you're just causing to the plastic pollution. The other thing is that whenever I step out, I tend to carry my own cutlery bags with myself, which contains a stainless steel straw, and it contains a spoon and a fork, etc. I love eating street food. So in order to avoid the plastic cutlery, this is what I carry along with myself. This is for all the nariyal pani that you drink and all the plastic straws that you generate, which cause to the plastic pollution. You might think it's just one straw, one plastic bottle, but no, you are just adding to that number. So carry your own, or just go and kiss the poido. I mean, go and take a bottoms up whenever you have nariyal pani next time. The other thing that I wanted to show you is this. This was something that we carried long time back, but we are not in the habit of carrying this anymore. This is a handkerchief. We are so dependent on tissue papers that we are responsible for the destruction of trees. We are also causing for the tree felling. The tissue paper that you used also has a lot of bleaches, also has a lot of chemicals that are applied to it. That is not natural. Just carry your own handkerchiefs whenever possible. The other thing that I wanted to show you was paper cups. Paper cups generally have a lining of plastic inside it. So whenever you add hot liquid inside it, you are actually ingesting a lot of plastic. You are actually ingesting a lot of plastic yourself. So avoid this. My alternative is to carry. Sorry. My alternative is generally to carry something like this. It's a collapsible tumbler. I drink my chai a cup. Or whenever you go to any pan dukan wala and you want to drink tea, just ask him for a tea from the glass cup, which was originally there. This is something that it's very handy. I keep it along with myself, along with my bag, along with my cutlery. When we wash dishes, dishes with Scotch-Brite. The original and the authentic dishwasher, dish scrubbers are these coconut coils. This is in the form of a dish scrubber, like a modern Scotch-Brite, but it is made out of coconut coir. Your Scotch-Brite actually contains a lot of microplastics that are leached out into the drains. The other thing is these toiletries that you get when you go to hotels and all. Carry your own, whatever you have, that is enough. Don't be greedy and carry all these back because these are just single-use plastic items. They are very small in nature and do not serve the purpose. Yeah, I mean, carry your own plastic bags as much as possible. Avoid your single-use plastic bottles. try and carry your own plastic bottle, try and carry your own water bottles wherever possible, and avoid bottles. Yeah, I think I am done. I questions or there are any things to ask, I'm happy to answer. And I hope you found the presentation interesting. I would maybe like to just close with a small song. Let me know if you can hear.
There is a bit of buffering. I think we can pause for a while and let it load for it.
Oh, it hasn't yet loaded. Just a minute.
No, it is loaded, but it is buffering. So
Okay. Just a minute. I'll screen share. Share sound. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
We need to wake up. We need to wise up. We need to open our eyes and do it now, now, now. We need to build a better future. And we need to start right now.
Yeah, I think I am there at the end of my presentation and happy to answer any questions.
So one of the questions that I need to ask is whether the seed vault is still in a condition where these things are not to be protected or something like that. You're muted.
It's still functioning. The Norwegian government and the Crop Trust and the ICGIR, they actually came together towards the repair and the maintenance, and it's still functioning. So there are around 1 million seeds currently there, and it has the capacity to store 10 million seeds.
10 million.
Yeah, it's still there.
I remember our Prime Minister was telling that single-use plastic by 2025 or something should be completely eliminated from our country. But unfortunately, all the fried ones, kurkure, the
Yeah.
lace, all are used. Everybody is using the single
True.
use plastic only. It is all everywhere, all around the cities, everywhere. Eat and throw just. Now
I
that is becoming a big menace.
I
Now,
completely agree. Like, so in 2016, the single-use plastic ban had actually come. Like, the essential, like all this polythene, all this, your straws, earbuds, and plastic flags, and all should not be used. But we still see it rampantly being used. And I believe it is just like gutka. You cannot ban gutka, you cannot take it out of the system. It's just the individual's awareness. I mean, it has to be people who are aware about this massive problem called single use plastics.
to the government force these companies to use papers instead of plastic.
Sir, actually, I mean, if you come to see, plastic which is being used especially for food items is actually a useful thing because it increases the longevity of the food. But what happens is that as per solid waste management rules 2016, there is this clause called extended producer responsibility, or it's called EPR. Basically, now, like suppose Kurkure, the company Parle, which produces, that is responsible for manufacturing, it is responsible for distribution, it is responsible for the sale of all its products. But it should also be responsible for the end life of the plastic that it has produced. That is called as extended producer responsibility. So that is there applicable to all organizations and MNCs right now, who actually have to reduce that amount of single use plastic that they generate by terms of cleanliness drives, or maybe by part of picking or by part of recycling and showing it as part of the EPR. But we all know how much it happens.
Yeah, just today and the other day I saw there is a school, I don't know, somewhere in Guwahati or Assam. The children, they
Yeah.
come to school without school fee. The school fee is the plastic bottle they have to collect and bring it.
Plastic. Yes. Yes.
That is something very creative.
Yes, true. Something very creative, absolutely. I think that can be, I mean, it is a good model to emulate and see if it can be done on a small scale at any. I mean, we would be happy to actually collaborate with KT Global School and see if we can set up any kind of collection point or any kind of distribution point where all kinds of different kinds of waste can be composted. Your organic waste can be composted, or your plastic waste can be collected into different streams, and see how it can go. It can serve as a great model for school for students also.
They have already initiated here segregation of trash.
Yeah.
The disposal will be always a question.
Yeah. How does the what do you do of the food waste or the organic waste that is generated?
I think they are taking from the municipality side, they are coming and collecting.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer. Any? Okay, then I think if there are no more questions, then maybe we can uh, end the session. Sir, Pati sir?
Okay, and Nilima, thank you very much. You have taken us to Arctic region and you have shared your very valuable experience. You have also suggested our teachers how to change their lifestyle by you by not using single-use plastic. But as we have discussed earlier, we want to invite you to our school and you have to demonstrate um, regarding to demonstrate our students some
Yeah.
modern for waste management. So we
Yeah.
look for that.
Sure.
Unfortunately, because students are today busy in their exam, that's why they could not participate.
Okay.
So we look forward to invite you sometime.
Sure.
So
Happy to. I also just wanted to express my thanks to all the teachers and everyone for actually for actually being here. As a request, I would request all of you to kindly go on to our website. It's called www.sebagreen.com. Please go on to this e-commerce platform that we have, which provides alternatives to various single-use plastic-free products. Very simple examples like, instead of shampoo bottles, you can go for shampoo bars. Instead of moisturizing lotions which come in bottles, you can go for moisturizing bars. And there are various other examples for stationery as well as for intimate hygiene, for other stuff. Please take a look, and we'll be happy to explore.
Thank you, ma'am, because this session was more than informative for us. Thank you so much.
Very nice.
Thank you so much. I'm glad all of you enjoyed, and thank you for
Obviously.
being a part of this.
Obviously. Pati sir, you are still muted.
Sir, ଆପଣ mute ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି? ହଁ.
Acha, okay. So I'll send you our recording. I'll send you. It will be uploaded in YouTube. Okay.
I think, can everyone, if we can open our screens and maybe we can take a group photograph or something like that, if that's fine.
Is it possible?
Yeah, like a
Okay.
screenshot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. Smile. I'll just take a screenshot. Thank you.
You have also taken?
Yeah, I think it's better that you also take. That will be better.
Deep sir,
Sharmishta, Khare sir, can you
Sharmishta.
remove your finger from the camera? Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Dr. Sagar Pradhan was here, but he left now.
Okay.
Departed. So we'll have a meeting for our, finalizing our dates. Okay, I will invite you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.